Hello, everybody in Facebook Live Land. We are the Podguyz Podcast, bringing it to you live as we do every Monday, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. I am Tony Kaz.
Kevin Neary here.
Of course, we have the ever-loving Picasso, the dreamer of dreams, the blah, blah, blah of the blah, blah, blah.
Tony, you just had your own groundhog moment right there. See, you're a prognosticator,
He's the prognosticator of prognostication.
Running through Sparky's very intricate intro that you spend.
No, I ruin it every time, and that's my shtick now.
That's it, right? Sparky, how do you? The
ever-loving Picasso, Sparky.
Sparky, how do you feel about that? Oh, Sparky says hi. He's fine with it.
He does say hi, by the way. Now, Les, you may not know Sparky if you ever watched the show, if you ever heard of us. It's okay if you haven't. It's okay.
I get this all the time with stuff. You people are like, oh, it's this, or oh, it's that, or oh, it's these people. And I'm like, I literally know no one.
Great. So Les is an artist, but Sparky is probably a top-notch artist in his own realm. Am I right there, Tony?
He does have a painting in the Louvre itself. Or is it the Louvre? Is it the Louvre or the Louvre?
Either way.
Say the Louvre. He is the ambassador for the USDA comic convention in Pennsylvania, in Scranton, Pennsylvania himself. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what he does.
Yeah, normally what Sparky does is whatever we're talking about as far as subject realm, he will draw what he hears. Now, he's not, he doesn't have any mental disabilities or anything like that. It's just the way that he chooses to communicate in life, and this has gotten him in a lot of trouble in some scenarios. Not that he is wrong to communicate in that way, but for the love of God, we do live in such a terrible little area where some Maury Povich, Jerry Springer situations might pan out. Sparky will just draw it, and the cops are like, "That doesn't help us. This does not count as a written statement."
He did work for the police sketch art as a police sketch artist for one day, though.
Yeah, that would be a fun gig.
Yeah.
I would actually enjoy doing that a couple times just to say I've done it. That'd be cool.
Well, you were probably a little more successful in your artistry career than Sparky has, but
unless you're a graphic artist, so the police would be like, "Yo, this is really good. I hope we get more murders from this guy."
Yeah, I would have to go in with a rider in my contract that whatever I drew, I got to keep it, and I could farm it for IP rights later.
Perfect. Guys, we are joined by Les Garner. He is the creator of such comic books as I should say not creator. You are an artiste, a penciler, a drawer of such books as Reign of Dracula and of course Apocalypse Girl.
Yeah, Apocalypse Girl.
What is your claim to fame, Les?
Probably that's a weird question, actually.
No, that is a great question to ask.
I've done this stuff and stuff around it for 30 years. So
so it's kind of like Sophie's Choice, only you like all your children. Like not there's a Sophie's Choice where you're like, you want the other one too?
Who's the bastard child?
The probably the highest profile thing I ever got to work on was not in comics, because along with comics, I do 3D modeling and animation, and I've been involved in development of 3D stuff since, good Lord, 1994. So yeah, I've been up to my eyeballs in that craziness for a very long time. I ended up at one point doing a music video for Judas Priest. So I was the director and animator on this thing after having initially been character designer for it. And then a whole string of actually a really sad situation happened where my best friend at the time was the director on it, brought me in to do this and he became extremely ill, and the producers asked me to step in and finish it for him.
Oh wow!
But yeah, which it sucked on multiple levels because one, he's a great guy, and he's.
You want to give him a shout out? Go ahead.
No, I mean he's no longer with us. He passed away in 2015. But
you want to knock on the ghost door? You are more than welcome, sir.
But we have a ghost door, Tony. You see, I didn't know we got a ghost door. He never tells me about these things. Les, working with Judas Priest has to be one of the stepping stools to have you ever done anything with Pixar? Have you ever looked at a movie before and said 3D art? I know how they did that. Who did it right? Who did it wrong? What was one movie example you can give us?
Oh man, it's deep. Now, what's fun for me, a lot of what I've done with 3D stuff has been building models that go into these different catalogs that are out there that people buy and use off the shelf. So there are times where I'll be watching TV and see a commercial come up, and I'll be like, I made that. There was specifically a frog I remember some years ago that I was like, that's my damn frog. It's like, that is very specifically a 3D poison dart frog, and I know the texture on that thing because I fucking painted it. And I've seen assets of mine show up in games.
Normally, you only hear that kind of language in a mental institution while the nurse gives you your medication. But in your terms, that's a real statement to make because you actually did do the work.
Yeah. And I ended up working on a couple of lower budget animated films with this was really weird because the people that I worked with in animation mostly were out of England. So, and my friend that I was talking about, Tony, his name was Tony Luke. He was out of England and was out of Brighton in the UK, which Brighton is such an artsy place. And through him, he ended up having an animation studio, and his partners in it were Alan Grant, who I adore, and the other partner was Doug Bradley, who played Pinhead. And I worked with those guys remotely for about 13 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, and there's all kinds of goofy, fun stories out of that. But yeah, that was some interesting stuff. Actually, when Tony passed away, we had just gotten he had just gotten the go ahead from Kevin Eastman. Tony had a property called Dominator. That was the first. It was I got to say this exactly right. It was published in Japan by Kodansha. Tony was part Japanese. And it was his full name was Tony Kurozumi Luke, which is means black water. But
I mean,
pronounce
they make
that name.
Cheesesteaks or something too, but
I mean, he was. If angels exist, he was one of them. The guy was like one of the greatest people I've ever known. But he had a thing called Dominator when he'd lived in Japan, and he got this thing picked up by Kodansha. And somehow he knew Alan Grant, and Alan was co-writing it with him. And so the two of them became the first non-Japanese to be published by Kodansha. And fast forward over time, he was always doing different things with the Dominator property. And in 2015, he had gotten the go-ahead from Kevin Eastman to do an animated short of Dominator versus Heavy Metal.
The Dominator just sounds so wrong on so many levels.
It was a great character, and the
thank you, Sparky. By the way,
I love how Les started that off by saying something like, "Oh man, I could tell you all sorts of fun stories about that, but you know." Anyways, the Dominator.
Welcome.
You know what, Les? At that moment, I think that you just ran through all the crazy shit that you guys did, and you're like, "This is nothing to talk about."
I'm gonna give you my favorite crazy comic book story in it.
We're ready.
It loosely involves Tony. It involves Tony because he made the introduction, and then he had to cut out. But Tony. One of the guys who helped design Dominator back, or did a redesign of him in the late 90s, was Liam Sharp. And of course, we all know Liam now because he's gone on to, all the craziness that he does, and he's a great dude. Well, Liam had worked on stuff with Tony and the guys. So had Simon Bisley, and all of these guys, all these British guys, Brighton, the Brighton region there in the UK is a hotbed of these people. Like it's so incestuous there in the comic book community. There's so much comic book community there out of Brighton. Tony's grandmother had rented a flat to Neil Gaiman at one point, way back.
I like the fact that you use incestuous comic book community.
Well, we're always swapping each other's shit every which way. So, I mean, might as well just call it what it is. But, where was I going with that? Shit, I lost my damn
Sorry.
Oh, my God.
I had to throw it out there. I'm like, did he use the word incestuous?
The craziest comic book story I have was so I'm at the San Diego Comic Con in 2004, I think it is 2004, 2005. I'm out of San Diego, and I'm actually there as a guest with a software company that I was doing 3D stuff for. And Tony and I had worked together, but we hadn't met in person until then. So we meet and we hit it off, and we're just having a blast. And so Tony's like saying, "I want to introduce you to my friends." Well, lo and behold, his friends are some of the artists who I'm like, and especially Bisley. Especially Simon Bisley. I love Simon Bisley. And so Tony,
for those who may not know who Simon Bisley is, what's his claim to fame as far as his comic books?
Oh God,
I know he's had a ton of them, but
I love every one of the covers that he used to do for Danzig in the Verotic Comics days.
Okay,
and Simon Bisley. Well, of course, Alan Grant was involved with these guys too. Simon and Alan are Lobo. I mean, Lobo exists because of
them.
Alan Grant, Keith Giffen, and Simon Bisley. Those three names.
People don't understand who Lobo is. If you've never gone to a comic book store, you will never know who Lobo is. You have been to a comic book store. You have Lobo shoved in your face everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was he was more marketed by comic book stores than the fucking creators who made him.
Yeah.
Lobo, I mean, okay, for a a crazy metalhead redneck comic book kid, Lobo was he was like the avatar of me and all my friends at the time.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
it's Kiss meets Wolverine.
It's kind of like he was a Wolverine-esque kind of character. No one knew if he was really the bad guy or the good guy, but all you did know is that he was cool enough to root for either side of the story.
Yeah. He was the half hero who would tell Superman to go F himself,
Oh yeah.
Because he would be able to back it up a little bit with his strength and comparatively.
Even though the character couldn't, I mean, he because he fought Superman multiple times, he could never really hurt him. Mm-hmm. But the thing about him is that he just couldn't die. He was like indestructible. So but he would get wounded. He could get torn all to pieces, and he'd just come back together. And it was always funny. Like the character was, I think, built as a spoof, really, of Wolverine in some respects, but it was just so much fun and over the top.
Whenever you're at the bottom dwelling of marketing, which is kind of the comic book world, they're kind of trying to feed off of each other's creativity to a degree, and you see what's working for one area, and you want to say to yourself, we gotta see if this kind of character would work for us too, because the Wolverine solo comics always had his hair a lot longer. He's fighting with the Punisher. No one really knows
even with
why.
The whole Weapon X storyline, like he was always like really.
There was about 10, 15 years maybe that Wolverine was so well done frequently by so many people that it was just like, Like there's no way this character is not going to become an archetypal trope.
Oh God, yeah.
He's yeah, no, absolutely. He's
and
well
Lobo
done
the
even
same way.
on the
Lobo
TV
the same
series on the TV series Amazon, The Boys. The Australian sounding guy is a type of Wolverine trope to your edition on that one, where it's just he's popularized and kind of lessened the sensitivity of the word cunt on because every other word out of his mouth. It's like I'm immune to hearing the word now.
It's funny because you know, half these guys that I'm talking about are I got so used to. At one point, I had more friends in Brighton, England, than I had here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew more people there, and it was wild. It was really wild. But Tony, in 2005, he introduces me to Liam and Simon. Of course, Liam and Simon had worked together. I think Liam actually kind of halfway apprenticed under Simon at one point. And I think Simon and I especially kind of hit it off in a goofy way. So they invite us to come for dinner and drinks after the show. Tony can't make it. And I'm like, dude, you care if I cut out and go with him? He's like, no, go ahead. I'm like, fuck yeah. So I go. and at the table is myself, Simon Bisley, Liam Sharp, and Garth Ennis. And of course, at this point, I'm just sitting there like I have no right to be at this table. I have zero damn right to be at this table. These guys are heavy hitters in a world that I actually walked away from in the mid 90s to go do the animation stuff and the other things that I do.
Now, do you think that they were also thinking the same thing? Like, this Les Garner guy has no right to be at this fucking. Who the hell does he think he is?
You know, they may have until.
The correct answer is no, Kevin. You're out of your mind. They would never think of that.
No. They may have until the drinking started.
Oh.
And because I remember the next day, the joke that was being made at the convention across our tables was only a motherfucker from Appalachia could hang with Simon. And the way that night played out, Simon and I kept drinking, and Garth and Liam eventually bowed out. So it was just me and Simon left in the bar. And we were just pounding them back because, you know, I was introducing him to all kinds of different bourbon because Kentucky, yay, you know. And so we were pounding the bourbon back and just being crazy. About 4 a.m., we decided, okay, we've got to go back to the hotel and at least get a couple hours sleep before we got to come back out here in the morning. Okay. So we step out on the main street in San Diego. There's no taxis around for some reason, but there's one of these little tiny rickshaws, you know, the little carts with the bicycle in front of it, and this tiny little Asian guy. Now, Simon and I are both over 6 foot tall. Okay. And, you know, at the time, I think I weighed probably 280, and he was probably all of 250, if anything. So, you know,
I'm glad that she estimated the weight in that story because I was lost until then. How much did they weigh?
So there's about
how much weight is going on here?
There's about 500 pounds of drunken punk rock, comic book nerd, comic book artist bullshit coming in there from England and Appalachia together.
Yeah, so the cops watching you, they're like, you know what? That is gonna weigh our car down.
So we get
tires.
This little rickshaw, and this poor little dude starts trying to drive it down the street. I mean, dude, one of my legs probably weighed more than the little guy did. And he's huffing and puffing and just standing on the pedals and giving it hell. And
he earned his money that day.
We're back there giggling our asses off. And Simon, in his crazy Cockney ass accent, he's like, oi, boy, get the push in the damn thing, you little fucker. And little guy looks back, scared shitless. And Simon's like, "Oh, you need some fucking help, mate? You need some fucking help? I'll help you out." And he jumps out of the fucking cart, gets behind it, grabs a hold of it. I'm laughing my ass off. And Simon starts running and shoving the damn thing down Main Street, San Diego. Eventually, it got going fast enough. And he jumped back in. Well, guys, he's kind of got us to our hotel and everything. And I mean, we tipped the hell out of the poor little guy, but it was
all right. Guess who we have on the show today? Ling Shang. Let's introduce Ling Shang, everybody.
Hey, Ling Shang.
Oh no, wait, he didn't want to come on.
There is no way that little guy isn't going to remember that night from then on, and I doubt he will ever want to work San Diego Comic-Con again.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, dude, Simon was like dragging that thing back and forth across the road, doing goofy shit with it. And I'm just so beside myself because, I mean, he's about 10, 15 years older than me. So he's old. He is enough my senior that I absolutely idolized his work when I was about 12 years old. So here I am with a childhood idol, drunk as fuck, and we're just getting weird as hell with this rickshaw running down the street. Yeah, I mean, it was surreal. It was totally surreal.
That's what Comic-Con's all about, man.
Oh, dude.
Regardless if you're on one side of the country in San Diego or if you're on the other side of the country in New York, like
you know what exactly? You know what? I never thought to interpret a Comic-Con where they just like when you look at the pictures, you're like, look at all that. They're treating it like it's second Halloween. Good for them. Have a good time. But then I took out the idea that there could be drugs involved.
Not wrong,
oh, dude.
Not wrong.
Man. Especially San Diego is like Vegas, man. What happens there stays there.
Hell yeah, it does. Well, the good thing is that Sparky actually has an interpretation of something. Sparky, you better hurry the fuck up because we got a show to run, buddy.
Oh God.
He's quietly masturbating right now, and
God, I hope not to me.
Very
the whites
polite.
Just got whiter.
That would be terrible.
He's gonna when he looks up, that's when he can come. You know, that's
yeah. He needs to look you right in the eye.
Oh,
he's doing that to your biography, your fucking headshot. He's doing that to Les. He's staring at that stare right there.
Oh shit. Oh,
I think Tony. I think more importantly, I think his screen is frozen. Nope, never mind. No, he moved. No, all right. Jesus Christ,
you son of a gun. Let's see what you got there, Sparky. Hurry up and push for holy fuck.
Now, Les, if you haven't noticed or taken appreciation to the detail in that artwork right there, you can tell who is who in that picture specifically. And you already know.
I got to step away for a second. I just got a low power notice on my iPad.
No! Grab a charger, brother. Grab a charger.
Speaking of power, I did ask the question today, is electricity a living thing? Is electricity a living thing? Now, the only reason I asked that question, Tony, is because in theory, electricity is inside of our hearts through the electrolytes running and pumping throughout our veins, and it is technically all around our surrounded earth through magnetic poles from one end to the next end.
Snapping.
Constantly there. So if electricity is constantly and always there, can and should it be considered a living thing? Even under the smallest of molecule under string theory laws, they have still found electricity is a constant molecule found. So if this is found everywhere, no matter what, even in the ground, all around the universe, even, Tony, you go out into space and they are finding electricity. I'm not trying to go that deep, but I would suggest that if one thing can be found everywhere, meaning electricity that can be found everywhere, since this goddamn thing can be found literally in microscopic form everywhere, we are probably living inside of something electronic.
I mean, you could be right. Could be right.
I'm just throwing it out there. So I just threw it out there.
So what was the deepest comment that was
Oh, I got some comments here.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So to that, I got a person that put down a Kresmek. He's an old cartoon of Hanna-Barbera, of where electricity has a face and stuff like that, from Sean Ravenfire, old comedian. We used to do some shows together. Annette Donna put down a little question mark, little guy like that. And then Stephen Watkins, which I'm pretty sure is your brother's fake profile trolling around, put down a little scratchy head guy. So then I put down no soup for you, the soup Nazi, which, is a Seinfeld reference. It's not really a Nazi for the younger generation that never watched Seinfeld. It is, again, not a real Nazi. It is a soup Nazi. And then, of course, Will Kingeter puts down, I really couldn't be happier, Stanley, which really is a nonsense comment because it doesn't really partake in the idea. John McCutrak says, yes. And then Scott Hewlett just put down, is fire a living thing? So fire would need oxygen to live until it eventually dies, evaporates, becomes water vapor into the atmosphere, but does not and is not always found everywhere in smallest of molecules. So I would say fire is a living thing when the life is created, and when the life ends, it is gone completely. But electricity appears to be if electricity
in every
being
living
life,
thing.
Infinite life right there. Absolutely. Yeah.
So a building block, you would say.
I would say, if not the building block, if electricity can be found within the Big Bang Theory, add electricity to the idea. So, and of course we do have to get a little bit into the Podguyz Podcast fan page stories of the week. So while we're doing that, we are talking about the origin of the man who invented ketchup inside of a bottle. Will Taylor Swift get a ring before the Bengals, the Bills, the Chargers, and the Lions? Not a bad question, right?
I think the Niners are going to get a ring before they will.
Well, the Niners already have one Super Bowl.
Well, I think they're going to get one this year. So, yeah. So
we're talking teams that haven't had rings in the Super Bowl ever.
Chargers
Taylor Swift
Chargers could be all right.
There we go.
Has never had a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Yeah, but Taylor Swift was engaged, wasn't she?
He was not engaged. No one liked it, so they didn't put a ring on it. Travis Kelce is seeming to really like it, though.
Oh, he's deep into it. He's deep into the fandom. Yo, nowhere to lie, right? I've seen this awesome video, and there's a fucking video going around, and it's great, dude. It's an animated video of Travis and Taylor, and she's at the game watching him at the game, and he tells his buddy, he goes, "Hey man, I think I'm gonna break up with Taylor." Did you see this video, by the way?
Go for it. Keep going.
Oh my god, it's really fantastic, right? So there they are talking, and then there's fans up in the crowd, and he goes, "Oh my god, did he just say he's gonna break up with Taylor?" And they reach over to the next person. "Oh my god, he's gonna break up with Taylor." And it goes from like person to person to person in animated view, and then it finally reaches up to somebody running over to Taylor Swift and being like, I think Travis is gonna break up with you." So she lets out this freaking like this hawk call, and she goes and all of the Swifties. It's a fantastically animated video. You have to watch it. It's really, really cool. And he goes, and then of course Travis was like, no, baby, I never said that. And the Swifties who are like now surrounding him they drag him up to the room where Taylor is up in the box office. And he goes, "No, baby, I didn't say any of that." And one of the Swifties says, "Are you calling us a liar?" "I think he's calling us a liar. I think he's calling us a liar." And they all go in sequence as the Swifties. And she never says a word, but telepathically she goes into each of the Swifties. Oh my God, it's so good.
Well, Sparky actually was there, and I think Sparky might have a picture of something of what happened there. A night out on the town with Travis and Taylor. Look at that. See, okay. Sparky, explain your work on that one, because I see just one blue tube. What's going on?
Is he pooper scooping? What is that?
You didn't hear the rumor, did you?
No, I did not. What is the rumor?
I actually started dating Taylor's sister.
You started dating Taylor Swift's sister.
Whoa.
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to get her for you. Hold on. I'll be back.
You're going to get Taylor Swift's sister? Now, this is breaking news, everybody. Now, people are not understanding the significance of Sparky getting a date with anybody, let alone with Taylor Swift's sister. He's getting her. And you know what? If this is a corpse, just have your phones ready.
Oh, the Swifter.
No, Sparky, we meant the music singer, not the, Swifter mop that he's holding. Not a sponsor, but could be a sponsor if you'd like to.
They're twins, though. They're twins.
Oh, okay. So a night out was
gotcha,
okay. So you're putting somebody in the jersey of Travis Kelce while holding a Swifter mop. Okay, all right, Sparky. Yeah. Very nice play on words there.
The Swiffer and the Swifter.
God, that's her sister, though.
Yeah, right, sisters. They look identical.
Mm-mm.
You should have put Google eyes on her.
You know what, Sparky? You're holding Taylor Swift with an eating disorder right there.
True.
Yeah.
Get her help, Sparky. Get her help.
That's how you know if you're a first world country. There are eating disorders out there. People are like, no to food. You're like, really?
Let's get more. Less is more when it comes to you, sir.
I had to scramble all over my damn house for a place where the cord that I have would actually.
We were on the journey, terrible. Sir. We were on the journey.
I was getting pissed off at the damn thing.
It does happen, but Les, you are from Kentucky area right there. Now, there are a lot of rumors about people from Kentucky. There are rumors that are great and that are bad. Like, you hear a lot of stereotypes.
Oh God!
People get, like.
Can I add something really quick, Catherine?
Sure, yeah, go for it.
The floating head that is Les right now with the black background, black shirt. I kind of like it. I kind of like it.
It's me in God mode.
It's looking like fucking like I'm supposed to make a Pee Wee Herman wish from the Kentucky standpoint.
There it is.
Mecca honey ho, right?
I'm making a redneck wish.
I think that's the thing. No one was ever disturbed that Pee Wee Herman had a live talking floating fucking head inside of a box.
Yeah.
Well, you know who the director of photography was on Pee Wee's Playhouse, right?
Are you going to tell us it was you?
No, it was Rob Zombie.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. His real name's Robert Whitman, and he was DP on Pee Wee's Playhouse when he started White Zombie.
Well, I know what's his name? The guy who played Mobius.
Morpheus got his start on
that was Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne
was the black cowboy, and then they had an interracial dating thing, which is great. It's the next dating thing that needs to be widely accepted as an interspecies relation. I want to see a guy that is openly fucking a horse, and everyone to want to accept that situation. But no,
there is a video of him dry humping the talking chair. So Pee-wee's Playhouse was a very underrated kind of show. Pee-wee brought on people like Oprah to make fun of, and all sorts of Christmas specials for Pee Wee Herman. It was a nice little show. For kids until obviously the masturbation inside of a goddamn movie theater thing kind of we always they couldn't upholster that couch quick enough.
That's how like you eventually find out things as a kid. Like when you say, why did Magic Johnson stop playing basketball? And your parents are like, because he got tired of beating everybody. He was just really good and he stopped. It's like, okay, next question. Where's Pee Wee Herman now? We were wondering about that too. It's like, fuck. Because he fucking got evicted from his house. He didn't pay rent. He never had a job. Fucking don't be without a job.
Yeah.
Eventually you do get, but there are some good stereotypes and bad stereotypes about Kentucky there, Les.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know how people do nothing, right? They do nothing and they're good at nothing, but just because they look a certain way, they get the good stereotypes about certain things. Where you look at somebody and you say, hey, you must be great at fixing cars. And they are just the most useless person in reality that you'd ever meet in your life. But just by the look of them, you say, man, that guy sure knows something about mechanic stuff. So Les, the good stereotype that Kentucky always gets is that people from Kentucky know how to pick the fastest horse. The worst stereotype that Kentucky gets is that you all brew your own liquor and die in the woods.
Actually, of the two, the latter is the one that's probably closer to the truth. Seriously, I have an older brother who passed away last summer who his
shine until he die or what?
His moonshine and equipment is still set up on his property.
Mm-hmm.
So my biological father and the father who adopted me, I was adopted, but both of them had been shine runners. So yeah, like there's a lot of stuff like that goes way back. People don't realize too that in Kentucky history with all the moonshine and all that kind of stuff, it's all like yee-haw, whatever. They don't realize how much of that is tied to organized crime.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a big. I've actually been making my own mead for
nice.
This year right here. This is I haven't named it yet. I'll name them Charlie the Mead or whatever the hell. But I got a good amount of bottles there. I don't drink anymore. I haven't even tasted this stuff. I have been asking people how it tastes, and we have so far a 7.5 out of 10 rating on the mead scale. I got to get Tony to taste it. But no, Les, you're 100% correct. The feeling that people get from drinking alcohol overwhelms their ability to rationalize logicness of the whole idea, right? So here's a good example. Here's a good example. Like the idea that somebody said one day, we're not going to have alcohol anymore because it's so fucking bad. You're all out of control. You're all cut off, right? It was done by Calvin Coolidge. His brother, Calvin Coolidge's brother, ironically died of alcohol poisoning, unfortunately. So Prohibition started up. It was an okay idea, but the addiction, the alcoholism took over in everybody, where they were making their own booze one way or another, getting it in, going up to Al Capone and normalizing him and posting him up.
Al Capone used to get big shipments of liquor from all through Appalachia and turn around. He would come from Chicago to Cincinnati and over to Covington, Kentucky. And Al Capone had such a big presence in Kentucky with the Shine Runners and everything that the world famous Tommy, the Tommy gun, there's a place in Kentucky in Covington, it's in Newport. Those two cities are there should be one city. They're just wrapped up in each other. In Newport, Kentucky, there is a building, a house, a big house that is where the Tommy gun was invented and first made, called the Thompson House. And that place used to be owned by Al Capone, and he would run stuff through there.
So the weird thing is, if not for alcoholism, right, we wouldn't have a better version of a machine gun. You would think. So if you build like the family tree of alcohol never produced anything good, and you're like, well, hold on.
No, but it was made as a mistake, though. From what I understood, like the Tommy gun wasn't supposed to be made as it was with even like the drum filter, but it was the Thompson machine gun, just a rapid fire gun itself with a clip.
Yep.
But
yeah, it's fun stuff, man. I get a kick out of all that kind of stuff. It's it's funky. You know, you can blame Kentucky for a lot of things when it comes to like alcohol and things that came out of it and during Prohibition.
Les, top 3 things you would blame Kentucky on. Let's do it.
All right. Fireball question. Top 3 things. If you're just joining us right now, we are blaming Kentucky
for everything. Everything.
We should just do this with every state, by the way, Tony, so that way we give Les a little bit of time to narrow it down. Do it with every state.
I can do this quick on Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
I blame Kentucky for tobacco addiction because it was the highest tobacco producer in history.
Even more than North Carolina.
Oh, yeah. It dwarfed North Carolina.
So North Carolina calling themselves they're on Tobacco Road. That's
no.
Kentucky absolutely dominated.
So Kentucky for cigarettes.
I literally.
I'm gonna say chewing tobacco.
I had to work Kentucky in tobacco from age 5 to age 18.
Wow.
I mean, to Kentucky and tobacco, and with the demise of tobacco usage, you know, I mean, because it's really fallen off and all that stuff, which is perfectly fine because the shit's nasty, you know. But it was the primary economic driver of Kentucky. Were the big economic drivers of Kentucky for generations were tobacco and coal.
Well, let's move those numbers around, Les. Let's get some people in Kentucky.
So I blame Kentucky for tobacco. I blame Kentucky for a hell of a lot of alcohol addiction.
Alcohol addiction number 2.
Okay. Because whether it's moonshine or bourbon, either way, you know, God knows I love some bourbon and I blame my home state for it. So
you look like a single malt type of guy.
I am very much a single malt type of guy.
You have that look about you.
Woodford Select and Knob Creek were my go-tos, man. Good shit.
And number 3 thing. Now we already got tobacco and alcohol, moonshining alcohol or alcohol in general to blame Kentucky for. The number 3 thing.
Ancestry.com.
The truly terrible thing that I blame Kentucky for is Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
How dare you?
Whoa.
Because
how dare you?
Johnny Depp is from he was born about an hour from where I live right now in Southwest Kentucky. Johnny Depp is a Kentuckian, and actually, I shouldn't rag on him. I actually like you know, I think he's pretty cool, and I've never heard him trash Kentucky. Like, there's a lot of famous people who are from Kentucky, and if it's brought up to them, they will absolutely trash Kentucky. It pisses me off every time. George Clooney's from Kentucky. Jennifer Lawrence, she's from Kentucky. She's from Louisville. I got a niece who was actually getting scouted by the modeling agency that started Jennifer out. Shit, I'm drawing a blank now, but there's a
Johnny Depp is something to blame, though. Les, you're on to something right there, my man. All right, you are on to something.
Yeah, the Depp Meister does hail from Kentucky. At one point, now this is wild. In Versailles, and yes, it's Versailles and Paris, Kentucky, not Versailles and Paris. But
those dang French people.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, all
shout out to France.
They ruined it.
If you're reading the names of places in Kentucky, you see all these French names. Don't pronounce them like a Frenchman. The English who were here literally said, "Fuck the French. We're going to say it however we damn well want." That's how we got Lyon County.
So that's kind of my next. So did Jimmy Buffett come from Kentucky?
God, I hope not. God, I hope not. That would be terrible. God, that would definitely take the list. Yeah, there's in Versailles, Kentucky. There's actually a castle and it's really cool. It's right outside of Lexington,
Versailles Castle, very, very prominent.
and it was bought at one point by Johnny Depp, so that his mother could go live in a castle.
Oh, I thought it was bought for his then wife, who shit on every pillow in the castle.
Now the reason
when you know you got a pissed off wife right there, when she starts shitting on the bed, and you're like,
every pillow.
Oh man,
God damn her.
But you remember what Johnny Depp called that? He said she did a grumpy.
She did do a grumpy.
So,
damn you, Amber Heard. Damn you.
But now,
put a grumpy on my pillows.
See, my wild, weird connection to Johnny Depp, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I will. As Johnny had a, or may still have, this person probably still alive. In the 90s, at one point, I briefly dated Johnny Depp's cousin, and
I think that would go on my resume as far as like, but beyond like comic book artist, 3D modeler, fashionista for a single malt wine, or for a single malt liquor. Dating Johnny Depp's cousin should go right up there. So
now, did Johnny Depp's
just that
cousin...
you're introducing in every storyline that you go by? Hi, my name's Les. I'm dating Johnny Depp's cousin. Nice to meet you.
Well, no, then the random drug test that he gets after that doesn't feel so random. Did she come with a bag of cocaine, or no? Did she just? That's a bad question. We all know she did. Never mind. It's more rhetorical based.
No, it was a long time ago in the 90s when things were interesting, and
things were great in the 90s. Gas was $1.
Oh my God,
cheeseburgers for 30 cents.
The 90s were such a wonderful time, weren't they? But
the internet was there, but it was so bad nobody gave a shit.
See, I feel so ahead of the curve because Johnny's cousin, who I dated, after I dated her, decided she was going to become a man.
Oh,
okay.
And
I think that's why she was dating you, to study the idea, just to be like.
No, I would like to think that I did such a good job. She had to try to find out what it's like to be on the giving end. And I know it's terrible.
That's gotta work into your mind as far as laying pipe, and you're like, I'm gonna.
There was actually a chick who was a different girlfriend back then who ended up briefly with her, with however that worked out.
Small freaking city, dude.
that was Lexington, Kentucky in the 90s, man. There was a whole big weird goth scene back then. It's crazy shit. And
I wonder why there's incest rampant in Kentucky.
No. Okay, dude. Yeah, you remember I mentioned that I was adopted. So check this out.
Mm-hmm.
Check this out. I had my older brother. One of my older brothers was adopted by the cousin of the man who adopted me, thus making he and I, without any form of incest, both brothers and cousins.
Brother cousin.
Only in Kentucky. And worse, on my biological family, after my biological grandfather died, okay, this is messed up. Biological grandfather dies, and my mother's husband's brother, who was much older, gets with my grandmother. Now, follow that through. Not an ounce of incest anywhere, and yet my Uncle Edgar ended up being my grandfather.
So I'm just going to throw it out there, okay? Gasoline must have been a pretty tough thing to drive around and fuck on, right? Because, you're all in the same area where you're just like, was the family dream, one of these days I'm going to get some pussy that's out of the county. And they're like, how dare you? And they bring up the 7 choices you have that you can fuck, and it won't be incest.
Now, this family tree.
I've already had sex with those women.
No, but this family tree.
One of them's a man now, so I'm not doing that.
It's freaking weird, man. I mean, it's like when you sit down and you look at, because I remember when I first found this shit out growing up, my teen years, I was like, whoa, what the hell? I've got an uncle grandpa. What the fuck is this shit? But I sat down and figured it out. I was like, no, it's actually legit. And this kind of thing happens all over the place, not just here. Weird shit like that. Things that are weird when you say them, and then you break them down. You're like, no, that actually works out.
Now, you know what? The family tree sounds like a crossword puzzle jumble. But in Kentucky, it's a Tuesday night. So,
Well, the man, the jokes about that stuff. Now, there was a time when I was much more sensitive about that sort of thing. I mean, when I moved out of Kentucky up to Connecticut, dude, I mean, seriously, when they heard my voice, they'd look at me and say, it's like, frequently I heard people say, oh my God, you have shoes and teeth. And I'm like, and I mean, I about halfway smack a motherfucker in the mouth for that shit.
But Les, did they assume that you knew how to fix cars and shit since you had the accent?
I don't know, but
did they okay, so I'll rephrase that then. Did they kind of say, so what
he's like I'm living MacGyver?
when they would do shit like that to me, I started this would be fun, is I would switch up and start speaking to them in Russian. Я знаю по-русски язык. And start going on. I was much better at it back then. It's been 30 years since I had to use it, but I got 3 years of studying Russian, the Russian language at one point, and was fluent in it by the time I was about 19.
I mean, nowadays it's really pointless because say you go to Russia and you have a little bit of marijuana on you and you don't play in the WNBA. I mean, you're kind of fucked,
Oh yeah. yeah. You really would be. You really would be.
I would love to, like we were talking about that when it actually did go down. I would just love to hear the disassociation of how much or how little the Russian government knows, or it's just like, tell the Americans we have LeBron James. Like, what? That's not LeBron James. They say it's a woman. No, it is. That is not a woman.
Now, the funny thing that is funked is Sparky's picture. Let's see what you got on the old big board.
The board. Whoa, a lot of graphics there, so you can appreciate that one. It says, screw the liquor. Let's deep fry. Let's deep fry the turkey and then push it up there. Hashtag Hunter-proof turkey. Have you ever deep fried turkey in moonshine?
Not in moonshine, but we've definitely deep fried turkeys, man. Deep fried turkey's some good shit.
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's just good shit all around, man.
It's one of the number one reasons people go to the burn ward every year. So.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
Then you got to tell your kids that your grandpa uncle, it just looks like Halloween all the time now,
Yeah.
Kind of fucking Freddy Krueger face on, Freddy Krueger again, grandpa. No,
yeah. I joke about that stuff all the time.
Ask your grandpa if he wants some more fucking turkeys.
I mean, growing up out here growing up out in the sticks was pretty much what put me on the path of doing comic books. Because I remember being a little kid, and when you're a little kid on a farm out there in a poor area like that, your ass is going to do some chores. You're going to work. I mean, if you're old enough to carry a bucket, you're old enough to get out there and work on the farm. And I think I was milking cows starting about 5 or 6 years old. And in the barn, they had a stack of comic books, torn all to hell, old stuff going back. They didn't know what they had. But I would sit there with a comic book on my leg while I'm milking a cow, and sit there looking at the comics and learning to read from comics when I'm sitting there milking a cow. And it dawned on me when I was a little kid, and the other little kids from down the road would the other little boys would play, and little boys, they're playing pretend, and they're making up different things and saying which characters they are. And it's like, I'm Batman, I'm gonna be Superman, I'm gonna be Spider-Man, or whoever. And somewhere at a very early age, it dawned on me to say, I want to be Jack Kirby. I want to be Neil Adams, because I had seen these names at the bottom of a page, and I mean, I could read, so I read what was there, and I was like, and it made it real that at a very young age, someone had to make this thing called a comic book. Somebody had to draw this stuff, and I thought that was just the neatest damn thing in the world. That some guy dreamed this up and could draw this stuff and tell these stories, and they could stick so well that other little kids wanted to be his characters. And I'm like, well, God, man, they want to be the characters. I want to be the guy who made the characters.
Well, Les, you know that the most unauthentic Halloween costume is when a child dresses up as Batman and goes trick-or-treating with his parents.
Yeah.
Batman's parents were kind of
murdered.
It's a what if series.
Where you go up to your kids, you go up to the kid and be like, "Really, child? Your parents are here? You're not the real Batman, are you?"
The true parents are the ones that lie on the ground while he goes trick or treating.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
zombie parents are widely acceptable in the multiverse area. Now, Les, how much of a cheat code when it comes to writing? And I am not letting people say this isn't a cheat code. All right. So as you know, I'm lining this question of how much is it from 1 to 10? How much of a cheat code is using the multiverse? Now, it's been used before.
Well, time travel in general and in the multiverse.
Just time travel I can take in small doses, okay? Not in sequels, but in small doses. If you're doing it in sequels, that's a way out of writing. But in the grand scheme of things, when you say, wait a second, this is the same character, but you're just making them different in a different atmosphere. What's going on here? And they say, well, we knew everybody was familiar with Spider-Man, so we just used that costume. And then the rest of it, we just said, whatever.
I've got kind of funky mixed feelings on it, I guess. I think that there's a way that, I think that a lot of terrible lazy writing has polluted the entire concept of a multiverse as a vehicle for a story. I think that the idea of a multiverse is a very, very intriguing idea. That if you're going to tell a story that uses a multiverse, you need to deal with the multiverse. You need to deal with it as a central plot piece, and not just use it as an excuse to roll the dice and randomly generate a new character and slap a name on it that is going to sell.
Well, unfortunately, Doctor Strange did that exact thing. They said, we're going to use this as the plot. And they said, well, what is the multiverse then? Whatever this next scene deems it to be.
Pretty much. I mean, I actually enjoyed Multiverse of Madness on a lot of levels because I love Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi can make the most absurd, outlandish garbage, and I will still enjoy it. I mean, Evil Dead is absurd. Always has been, always will be. That's part of the fun of it. And I going in, I didn't go to see a Doctor Strange movie. I went to see what Sam Raimi would do to Doctor Strange. And seeing it through that lens, it was very enjoyable that way. But
Evil Dead was Sam Raimi's prime time right there, though, man. That was
he's done a bunch of other good stuff too.
Doctor Strange, I'm not even going to, I wouldn't blame him for it 100% because you have Disney producers in the ears of everybody. And
you can watch that movie, and I mean, I've not at that level of the film industry, but I've worked in that industry enough that I literally watched that movie. I can see and go, right there is where he wanted to keep going with this particular thing, and you could tell that they were like, oh, really, man, cut from that, change that. And it's like, you have to wonder sometimes when you watch these movies how much of the final cut is actually what the director was doing, or how much of it was just,
you're 100% on target right there, because Disney still has a lot of hang around people. They've just been there for so long. They throw them on certain projects just out of union's sake, and they'll put them there, and these people still have some influence on how certain things are done, and even then, we call it here at the Podguyz Podcast just Disneying the fuck out of something,
Well, the same damn thing happens at Warner Brothers. I mean, that's what they did to Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder, even when he got so upset, they said, okay, then put out your version of it. Then we'll put out the director's cut, right, Tony? And when he did put out the director's cut, you're just like, that was also pretty bad.
See, I loved it personally. I actually enjoyed the hell out of it.
The problem I had with the Justice League is that just okay. Here's one big bugaboo right here. All right, Wonder Woman. Love the actress who's playing her. But on the planet, now they can travel fucking everywhere, right? On the planet, their main source of weaponry is the fucking bow and arrow. Did you catch that?
Transcend time. You could transcend everything.
They do a lot of Wakanda, even, right? Wakanda, on the opposite side of it, we're going Marvel. They want to travel by fucking rhino. What are you doing? Somehow, here on Earth, we can't defend ourselves from people that travel on rhinos, or advancements are super high in agility. And by the way, they got a bow and arrow, too. Gotta be kidding me. And you got one of the worst characters. What was his name? Wolf? Whatever the hell. What is it? I forget the guy's name.
Killmonger?
No. Justice League.
See, there was Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf. There you go. Steppenwolf. First of all, I don't even know what this guy is, really, right? But somehow he gets activated. Okay, cool. And you get the
DC's version of the Destroyer from Marvel.
Okay, I can see that now.
Yeah.
I can see it. Yeah. So but his introduction is just so glossed over. And if he's so powerful, which he very much shows how powerful he is in every scene. I know, no, he just presents the powerfulness, right? Shows it. Does a couple things, and they chase after him with bow and arrows. You fucking idiots! Are you serious? This is the worst concept I've ever seen. You are doing space battles and shit. You are advanced as fuck. The bow and arrow should be shown in a museum somewhere. Then when he finally gets down to Earth to start to fuck shit up, first of all, you don't need people with mimicked powers. You just don't need it. Which means, sorry, Ezra Miller, we already got a guy who can run the fuck fast. That's Superman. You're out, dude. That's all. See you later. And if anything, Ezra Miller's Flash character should have just done the time reversal shit so we can constantly buy 10 years of time to figure out how the fuck to defend against Steppenwolf. Because that's all he's good for. Instead, he steals children and takes them to Hawaii in real life. Somehow he doesn't get canceled because LGBTQ says themselves, hold on, he's in love with that woman and he identifies as a person her age for the moments that they're together. What the fuck are you guys talking? I'm not even joking. That was the main defense. That means that Harvey Weinstein just, he just identifies as not being a scumbag while being massaged. Because if somebody was even in that room and you say, I saw a woman massaging a fat naked dude, and they say, does that look like a rape? And you'd say, no, that looked like a prostitute massaging somebody for a role. And they're like, I don't know, but they still called it a rape. And by the way, if you do have any comments, questions, or complaints, go to the Podguyz Podcast at gmail.com and send us over exactly what we are doing wrong. Back to Harvey Weinstein, though, and how it is probably not the worst person in Hollywood.
Oh my God!
Listen, dude. All I'm saying is that there were when
I like that you just coincided, fucking Harvey Weinstein and Ezra Miller. Into the rape category.
I'm telling you, can't tell me that this guy robbing children from a Connecticut house and taking her to Hawaii is defendable. And then you can't. Yeah. Okay, I'll defend Harvey Weinstein then if that's how we're playing scumbag for scumbag.
I just like the fact. I like the fact that you didn't even bring up Ezra Miller's beating up women thing. You went straight into the rape.
You know what? Ezra Miller has the physique like the woman might have a chance in the fight. You know? So yeah. I'm not knocking the guy on that one. And you know what? I'm not going to tell a woman that she can't beat up a man because I'm not repressing the woman's dreams. If you put Ronda Rousey in a room with Stephen Hawking and she beats the shit out of him until he's fucking out of his goddamn wheelchair.
Stop it.
Robot talking and shit.
Stop it.
Oh.
You watch the cops come in there and arrest Stephen Hawking and say, how dare you hurt her knuckles, you fucking freak. God damn it. He's probably looking at her with a rape in his eyes, too.
I stopped every fist that
I'm just picturing Ronda Rousey putting him in a rear naked
choke. That's how you raise awareness for ALC. You just take Stephen Hawking and you drown him. You don't even got to throw ice buckets on fucking people.
Oh, shit.
Drown the fucker. Baptize him, for the love of God. I don't.
Punch, 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 punch.
Yeah. He'd be typing the words punch. Oh, God.
Well, holy crap. You got me going. It's terrible. At some point tonight, we're going to talk about at least one of my books. But this shit is just too much fun.
Stop hitting me. Oh, no. I hit myself.
Yeah. Oh, God. That, I got to gather myself up. This is bad. I cannot, my mind's eye cannot unsee what my imagination has just brought from that entire exchange.
I'm just saying that it is
a 3D model of this.
It is more than plausible that Sparky should be drawing something of what was just talked about right now. So we might have that up in just a moment. I'm not sure.
Oh, my God.
Rear naked choke of a wheelchair.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm not going to tell any woman that she cannot beat up a man just as much as a man can't beat up a woman. I'm not saying it's improbable of happening.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's
and not only did it do it once, but he did it twice. He did it thrice. He did it 3 times.
Listen, that's the thing. I just have a problem with the Justice League inviting Flash there for any reason at all. He just didn't need to be there. We already have a dude that runs fast.
He's the plucky side relief.
And Batman was only there, obviously, for financial reasons. They're looking at him like, why do you even need the cape on? You don't need to dress for this, sir. You just don't need to be here for the most part.
Just use your money to clean up our mess.
Basically, right? It's just...
Wayne Enterprises builds buildings all over Gotham just for the fuck of it.
If anything, the Justice League did was expose exactly how lopsided everyone's parts were. Where Superman's like, I'll take on all these guys, and Wonder Woman's like, oh, I'll do the same, and Batman's like, I am writing checks right now for all of this shit. This is This is okay.
Kevin, what's the greatest story in all of Gotham?
But at least he
that
had that
never
one.
been told?
There was the great one-liner where somebody says to him, "What's your power?" And he says, "I'm rich."
Well, yeah,
That was
exactly.
great.
Kevin, what's the one story that is on the edge of time in Gotham City? Regardless if you're in Gotham City, if you're in wherever you are, Wayne Industries Insurance Company.
It is always there. Now the
always there when
problem,
you need us.
The biggest problem I have is that for some odd reason, people don't pick up on how Alfred was really the bad guy in the whole entire series. Alfred the butler was really the bad guy. Now stay with
Les,
me.
you may be saying to yourself, really? Are you? Yeah. Alfred
the butler was the most evil person in the whole entire Batman series. And
we'll make this into a quick 3, Kevin. Let's make this into a quick 3.
Really quick. I'm gonna give you the rundown. We all know, Batman's parents go ahead and get shot and murdered, and then the cops are looking at the kid and they're like, "Oh my God, what do we do?" So the cops, what do? They drive him home immediately because that's what you do. That's your next step. Okay, great. So they knock on the door. Who answers the door? The butler, Alfred, right? Knocks at the door. Alfred says, where's his parents? What's going on here? And the cops say, well, you have to raise the child now because that's butler law. And he says, no, dude, I just fucking work here as the butler, okay? I don't raise children. This is not a thing. And the cops say, listen, man, you ain't going to lose your job. This looks like it's be a comfy situation. Just who cares if you do a bad job at it? Just whatever.
Round the clock.
You know?
Round
and
the clock.
They leave. The kids there traumatized. And now Alfred's like, fuck. This is terrible. So the next morning, he doesn't take Bruce Wayne to a therapist ever. Never takes him to a fucking therapist once. Not even hinted at the idea. He just lets him grow up all by himself, basically, until he gets to that certain point where he says, Alfred, can I make a bat cave in the basement? And Alfred says, the fuck if I care, it's your money. You do whatever you want, man. I don't give a shit. Just here, I'm getting paid. So he makes a bat cave in the basement and stuff, and then gets a bat car with his own money. It doesn't really come to full fruition until Alfred is away cleaning the house, and he's just like, fuck this place. I hate this goddamn shit. And he sees Bruce Wayne. He's in full Batman costume, and he's holy shit, what's going on there? And Bruce Wayne says, I'm Batman now. Inside the house, Alfred's like, oh, well, this took a turn. He's
all right,
you know what?
He doesn't prototypes before
Tony,
the original Bat.
He never tries to talk him out of it, okay? He never says, hey, Bruce, chill the fuck out. Take the goddamn costume off. What's wrong with you? Jesus, let's talk about stuff. Get something off your chest. Instead, Alfred encourages it and says, yeah, yes, you are, Batman. What are we doing tonight? What the fuck?
Well, hell, in Batman canon, Alfred taught him most of what he knows.
And that is encouraging.
He's an enabler.
Mental,
yeah, he
totally
enables him.
Listen, if all of the money that was spent on the Batcave and all these gadgets went to mental health, you'd have no fucking criminals to fight.
Shit.
By the way, Sparky has a picture of it.
Sparky's got a picture.
Oh, Lord.
Stephen Hawking meets the the Dominator. The Dominator.
Stephen Hawking's quoted on saying...
No, my computer does not know German. Say the safe word.
By the way, big shout out to Germany. One person in Germany is listening to us. Unfortunately, they were listening to us while we were talking about Israel and Palestine. So I'm guessing they were listening for all the wrong reasons.
By the way, Kevin, do you know the picture that I sent you in Messenger as well?
I do not. No. What picture did you send me?
It was new listeners through Spotify.
I did see that. Yeah.
Wait, what's the 5 countries that are on there?
So these are the 5 countries that are new listeners to the Podguyz Podcast on Spreaker, Spotify. 9 extra downloads from the United States.
Just this week.
Just this week. 2 extra downloads from Russia, 2 extra downloads from Canada, 1 from Germany, and 1 from Pakistan.
There we go.
Now, all of these places share one thing in common: nuclear bombs. So, if you're a fan of World War III or or want to actively participate in World War III, don't forget your favorite podcast to listen to while participating in World War III and trying to kill each other.
And thank you for listening.
And thank you
to the
for
person to the Russian who downloaded Здравствуйте, товарищ.
Nostravia. That's the only Russian that I actually know.
Oh, Lord.
Da and Yat. That's it. And Nostravia.
Oh, Lord. Good times.
Anyways.
Woo.
That's all the time that we actually have for our show, Les.
You guys are a hoot. Damn, man. Rich is going to kick my... He's going to be like, why do I send this motherfucker on here when they don't even end up talking about the damn book? So...
let's cap it. Let's
roll out that red carpet there
right now, sir.
Let's get into this damn book, because they sent me here with a job and I haven't done it yet, and that's not how I do things.
You know what? And not to say, oh my God, we do this a lot too, Les. Right? We'll get somebody on the show and we'll be like, oh man, well, we're gonna prep up your stuff. We're gonna get going for your GoFundMe or whatever's going on.
Yeah, and then we get into something like some midget porn should be banned.
Oh my God.
Some bullshit.
I have a t-shirt. If I knew he was gonna say something about midgets, I'd have worn my midget wrestling. I've got a t-shirt that's from in Indiana. There's a thing called the Midget Wrestling Federation. And I have this t-shirt that has their logo on the front, and on the back says, "I support midget violence."
Nice.
I love wearing that one to the gym. Some good looks.
Oh man. You're right. You know what? Nobody ever says it's midget on midget violence. It's like, what the fuck?
Les, what do you have going on for our audience?
I'm gonna need oxygen from laughing my ass off here. Oh shit! So what all I got going on right now? We got
Reign of Dracula, sir. Reign of Dracula.
Yes, Reign of Dracula. REIGN, not RAN. Thank you. But Reign of Dracula is up on Kickstarter right now, and we would really appreciate some folks coming over and helping support the thing, help bring this thing over the finish line, because
Les has these big pieces of artwork that he is trying to.
Yeah, I've got basically an entire living room wall's worth of artwork that maybe the campaign,
maybe give one away for the Kickstarter program.
I mean I'm tempted to, because I ain't got enough space in my house to keep them. So
right, anybody over what $200? Let's say 150, $200, something like that. 350.
I'd say over 350, maybe about
350. Okay, all right.
Yeah, somebody drops 350, like they get all the different variant covers and all that different stuff. Then I would consider maybe something. We've been talking about.
Should tube wrap that, send it in the UPS.
You can't tube wrap these. They're on the Masonite boards.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
I mean, they're on hardboard. They're on the same kind of hardboard that.
All right, it's pickup only, folks.
and they're freaking enormous. I don't know, like shipping these would be stupid expensive.
Yeah. So you get Les's home address, so you get to meet Les in person.
The holiday season's around, and nothing says trip to Kentucky quite like fine art. And that's exactly it is exactly what you're doing. What you are doing, Les, is you do fine art with such imagery that is I'm looking through right now. It's very spooky stuff. Man, this is very good stuff. Honestly, I mean, I wish we could. They should be. Rich Davis should be very happy to have you on there. Rich is giving also one of those actor portrayal looks right there.
Oh yeah.
Does he look like that in real life now?
He tries.
Or is that an older picture?
He tries to.
He tried.
Yeah,
Both of you with the steely
award-winning.
gaze.
You know, you never hear these biographies of runner-up winning. Runner-up award. Creator of the cult classic turned bestseller Cult of Dracula, sequels Rise of Dracula and Reign of Dracula. Reign of Dracula is the one that you are solely illustrating. I'm correct?
Yes.
Reign of Dracula should be the best to come yet. Just if you
Just
don't
the
like
best
to
out
read,
of the 3-part
you
series.
don't like to read, right, Tony? If you don't like to read, just get it for the pictures. And the pictures are probably one of the best things to look at in a comic book. Honestly, it really sells every page that jumps off at you.
Well, I bust my ass on pretty much anything I'm working on. I do actually, I can come on something like this and laugh my ass off, but I take what I do incredibly seriously.
Mm-hmm.
As do we, sir. As do we.
It's doing the stuff that I do is pretty much, it's a 5-year-old Kentucky kid's dream, and I've gotten to live that out and still do. So, every time people pick up something that I've worked on, it always I get comments from folks about the conversations I have with them at shows, because I like to get to know the people and all that, because I put so much of myself in the work. Reign of Dracula is it's very much Rich's baby. And I got a lot of respect for Rich. He's a really good friend. So it's really cool for me to get it to help him bring that thing to life. And, in working with him, because he works with me in a very collaborative way, I feel like he's really been interested in my take on a number of things. And I think it's helped kind of flavor the story a little bit, which I would say, if you follow the arc of Cult and then Rise and then how it ends up in Reign, where it goes is, I'm just going to say it for what it is. It's freaking weird. I mean, it goes into some very strange places, and I think the thing I enjoy the most about it is that it actually delves into like a bunch of really interesting, like existential philosophy and philosophical questions. So I see it as being something akin to a Grant Morrison type thing.
Okay. No, we've had some great artists on our show. One of my favorite all-time artists, great guy, Darren Ock. I don't know if you've ever met him on the comic books. Dude,
I know virtually no one. People laugh at me because they'll drop names and stuff, and I just don't know anybody, because I spend 95% of my time in my studio working, and I just kind of pop out with somebody. Like, I don't even book my own shows. I just I go to shows when I'm invited, and that I get invited. I'm getting invited to more and more shows all the time. But that's,
well, the good thing is that Darren Ock, who I love, I hope he's watching this show. He was not to say like he's a great motivator, he's a great talker, but he hits the con scene like a crazy person. Now he's he was one of the main artists for Ren and Stimpy and Rocko's Modern Life.
Oh, nice.
So he did his stint in the big comic book era, of things. He also did Marvel, he did DC, he did the circuits and stuff like that. But his all important thing is that he talks to people when he's out on the con. So even though he may not do anything now, he still does things. He does specialty covers and commissions and blah 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 blah. But I think it's important that when you're out on the con scene, even if you're invited, even if it's your first time, don't be one of those weird people that sits at the table and just draws for you, not necessarily even to make your money. And I get that that's why you're there. You're there to make money. but you're also there to encourage and motivate people into the comic genre. So, I mean, you know, be that person, be the Darren Ock of the world, you know, and just talk to people. It, like, you are a very, very approachable person, Les.
Well, thanks. A lot of times at shows, you know, it's like a lot of times if I get invited back to a show, it's oftentimes because I always put the offer out to them that, you know, I enjoy doing panels and seminars and stuff about drawing and stuff about comics as an art form and storytelling and things like that. And I'm like, you know, I always want to try to contribute to the event in those kind of ways, because, you know, it's like, if they're, I don't know, maybe it's kind of naive of me, but if they're good enough to put on an event where I can come and hopefully draw for some people and sell some books and meet all these people, I feel like I should do something above and beyond just being at a table.
100%. Yeah.
So more of y'all should invite me to shows, because I'll come to them. And I'm what was it? It was a week after I got home from the hospital from having a stroke. I was speaking on a stage at a show in Minneapolis.
1 week. Wow.
And yeah, that was actually I had just come out of what was it, 6 total weeks in the hospital, 4 of which were in an inpatient rehab. And yeah, it was about 2 weeks after getting out of there. There were 2 big things that I did as soon as I got out. One, I went and did this show that I'd gotten invited to while I was in my rehab. And then right after that, I went turkey hunting.
Nice.
So
now Kevin asked this question for every one of our guests.
Yeah. Now,
please,
Les,
Kevin.
Have to ask you, I ask everybody that comes on. You've done so much in your career as an illustrator, as a storyteller through pictures and graphic design, 3D art. You've done so much in life for yourself, for your family, for everybody. But compared to all of that, would you consider this right now the peak of your career?
The peak of my career hasn't happened yet.
It's happening right now. This is it.
No, actually, I could say in one light that this is the peak of my career, because, you know, time moves forward and I'm at the edge of the forward movement and I'm still here. That's so true. And, you know, 9 months ago, I almost wasn't. So,
yeah.
So, I mean, with that in the rear view mirror now, it's like literally every second forward is more of a gift than I ever thought it could be.
That's awesome.
You know?
Well, you know what is even a better gift than the gift of life? The gift of
buying my books.
The gift of a Podguyz Podcast t-shirt from merchbooth.com. What you do is you go to merchbooth.com, click under the categories, go down to the podcast page, and then scroll on down near the letter P there, the Podguyz Podcast. Give that a click and look at your next long sleeve, short sleeve.
Wouldn't the Podguyz Podcast start with a T, Kevin?
Yeah. All those letters are going to be put there. But also, just as good as the gift of life or rebirth or whichever life that you'd like to know. Sparky's t-shirt is there in the background. I'm wearing mine right now. Tony keeps his in the gun safe.
I do. I'm wearing Savannah, Georgia today. I don't know why.
You just lift yours up and you're like, I got a shirt on. Like, Sparky's got some artwork right there, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we're going to close this show out with a good old Sparky drawing. Holy cow.
Rain on Dracula, blah, blah, blah.
This is the 4th book, by the way. The fourth book.
See, look at that. He is he's trying to compete with you there, Les, as the illustrator for Rain on Dracula, the 4th book. Rain on Dracula instead of Reign of Dracula. Yeah. 4th book in the Rich Davis series. Right
it's there. Blah, blah, blah. I hate bad weather. Glad I have a cape.
He did a lot better of a Dracula than I did.
It was much better. Much better. Holy crap. All right. Guys, we're the Podguyz Podcast. Tune in every week, every Monday, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. I'm Tony Kaz.
Kevin Neary here.
Of course, the ever-loving Picasso, making it rain.
Sparky.
Les Sparky. Big shout out, Les Garner. Check out his book that he is the artist of, Reign of Dracula. It is on Kickstarter. Check it out. A great book. Great book. Great job, buddy. And tune in next week. We got some great guests coming up, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. Share and like below. Share and like. We're the Podguyz Podcast. Have a great night.